So, just a few hours ago, Subaraya Productions announced the latest entry into the Ultra series, Ultraman Z, which will begin airing on June 20th this year. And, already I'm seeing quite a bit of criticism towards this, even though there's hardly any information about it right now. So I decided I would make a video sharing my thoughts on this new series and why, personally, I am slightly more optimistic about it. Geed in 2017, I personally didn't really like that much, and from what I've heard, Rube was pretty poopy. However, I really enjoyed Ultraman Tiger last year, and I personally thought it was one of the best entries into the franchise yet. So it's really filled me with a lot of confidence in what Subaraya really can do, and it's making me hope that Z, even if it's not as good as Tiger, will still be a fantastic series. So to begin with, let's talk about the titular Ultra Z. Personally, I think the design looks pretty decent. It reminds me a lot of Fuma, and I know a lot of people might say that that's lazy, especially since Fuma was only in last year's series. But at the end of the day, we've had Ultras that look like others before, like Jack and Zoffy both look nearly identical to the original Ultraman, and Toro looks pretty similar to Seven, but those are all beloved characters, and I think there's still quite a few things that help differentiate Z from Fuma, since he has a lot more black coloration on his body. And something that I actually didn't notice until Kaiju Kobe pointed this out on Discord is that Z actually has an eye slugger, which is something I think only ever Seven and his son Zero have ever had. And it would be pretty cool if perhaps we could get a few more slice and dicing in this series because of that. I've seen his colour timer get a lot of flack, but to be honest, I really don't think it looks that bad. It's not really that much goofier than an X-shaped colour timer or a V-shaped colour timer. I'm not really a fan of the red on his feet. It seems like a pretty unnecessary detail, but that aside, I honestly think this looks like a pretty decent design, and I don't understand why it's getting so much flack. As for the Ultra's human host, there's not really a lot to say about him because we don't have that much information about him yet. He just sounds kind of like a pretty by-the-numbers host. It says on their website about how he has a strong sense of justice and is a natural-born athlete, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as they do interesting things with his character. And like I said, there's not much information about him, so I think it's too early to really judge how he's going to be. Next, we move on to the reason why I think a lot of people hate this series so much already. Zero. If you've been invested in the Ultra franchise for the past few years, obviously you'll know that Zero has been in pretty much every single series since it came back to TV in 2013 with Ginga. Recently, I've seen a lot of people get tired of Zero's constant appearances, but I honestly don't mind him coming back. I think we're all forgetting the fact that Ultra 7, who is probably one of the most beloved Ultras in the entire franchise, had about like 3 or 4 of his own series. He's made guest appearances in Return of Ultraman, Ultraman Ace, Toro, Orb, and was a main character in Leo. So I don't understand why when Zero makes a similar amount of appearances, it's suddenly so much worse. I like the idea of him training an Ultra, since originally he was a novice Ultra who was trained by Leo, who was also trained with Seven, so it's pretty nice to see how this training has been passed on through multiple generations, especially since a recent theme of the Ultra series is the bonds between different generations. And I honestly think that people are basically just searching for things to hate on this series for because of Zero being in it. When it actually comes out, if people do have genuine criticism against it, that's fine, even if I disagree with it, but honestly, I feel like people are just kind of searching for reasons to dislike this series so far. If there's one thing I can agree with on them is that the transformation item does not look good. It's way too bulky. I know we've had bulky transformation items in the past, like the Orb Ring and the Geed, whatever the hell it's called. But I think it would make for a pretty decent weapon. But as a transformation item, it is honestly just a mess, in my opinion. And honestly, I kind of wish sometimes that they'd go back to the simpler transformation items like the Leo ring, because that ring is absolutely based. But yeah, that was essentially all my thoughts on Ultraman Z. Sorry if this video came off as a bit rambly, since this was all unscripted. However, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Let me know what you think of this series. Personally, especially after what a great series Tiger was last year, I am feeling pretty optimistic about this, and I'm hoping it will turn out good.